Welcome to Rock Your Talk. I'm Leisa Reid, excited to be here. We have an amazing guest today, one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Felicia Searcy. Welcome, Felicia. Thank you for being on our show. Hi.
Thank you, Lisa. One of my favorite people, right back at you.
Yes, this is exciting. A little bit about our show. We're going to hear some things about how you can create your life that you love from Felicia, and she's going to drop some major knowledge bombs for us here today. A little bit about what you can get as a listener from as a listener to our show. I am the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now, and I've got 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs. If you go to GetSpeakingGigsNow.com, you can grab those. Also, I'm a trainer and speaker for productive learning, and we're all about self-development and really facilitated self-discovery. How do you ask those questions to yourself to help you move through any kind of emotional, maybe crisis, or just things that are kind of getting in your way today? And if you'd like some support on that, you can go to productivelearning.com/gift and download our new course. It's a virtual course called New Thinking for New Action. So a couple of free gifts coming at you. Now today, I definitely want to get in and hear what Felicia's going to talk about. I have attended some of Felicia's workshops and seen her speak. She's phenomenal. I'm excited. Felicia, tell us a little bit about you before you give us these tips about living this life that you love, and how do you do that? Tell us a little bit about you so everyone's up to speed.
Yeah, so I've been a student of what I'm sharing with you all today for decades, have applied it at different times. Well, I'm always applying it, right? So let me just say this. We're always applying it in some way, shape, or form, and I'll talk more about that here in a little bit. But I reached a point where I began to apply it in earnest around a dream that was just eluding me, and discovered a depth to what I'm sharing with you all today, and a nuanced application that, those small hinges opened the big doors that just fundamentally transformed the trajectory of an already good life, right? Because everybody, we've already got a good life, and got on fire with the power of this and the power of us, and just made a decision. I got to dedicate my life to helping people with this. So this is what I do now.
And so to give a little context for the listeners, so when you say you help people, give us an example. I know you help a lot of entrepreneurs, because I know a lot of people who utilize your services, but who do you love to help, and what do you help them do?
Yeah, so it's somebody who's reached a high level of success. Mm-hmm. They look around and they know that there's something more. There's that ache that I just know I'm meant for more. There's something more for me to do. Oftentimes they know what it is, but they just haven't been able to break out of what has been their status quo. People can make incremental changes, but not those breakout changes that they're just longing for. And they know, it's like they can taste it. It's right there, but they just can't, for whatever the reason. Well, I know what the reason is, but in their head, for whatever the reason, sure, they just can't break through. And they've got some awareness of spiritual law, the laws of the universe. People often distill it down into a single law, the law of attraction, and they understand it conceptually. It can work for you from time to time. I call it episodic manifestation.
Yes, I love that.
But it's not consistent.
Yeah,
it's not consistent. It's not. They can't count on it. They can't depend on it. And so they come to me and they discover, wow, there really is a system, and I really can do this, and I really do have this power. And they create a life that is not dependent on, how do I want to say this? Things don't get better because their results change. Mm-hmm. Their results change because they come to understand who they are and what's possible. And so they're able to be with their results in a whole new way, in a whole new dynamic, without looking over their shoulder, wondering how long is it going to last, or they really begin to experience freedom. And one of the things that people often say to me is that one of the key things that they've learned by working with me is that they really can create a life that they love, and how to live from that. That question is the foundational question. What would I love? It is the most potent, powerful, holiest of all questions that we can learn to ask. And so few people really understand the power of it, how to live from it, and how to let it be your guide.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that question. And
Yeah.
I think that ties us right into your first tip, because I know you have some expertise in this area. So what was your first tip that you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, well, so first of all, foundational. The thing that I want everybody to get is just how amazingly powerful you are. It's breathtaking, the power that we hold at our fingertips. It's breathtaking what you're capable of and who you really are. And so right now, just breathe that piece in. Just
I'm
know how
breathing it in.
powerful you
I'm
are.
breathing it in.
Yeah, yeah, Lisa. I mean, you know this, right? And you live this. So then that begs the question, so what is the power? What is this power that we have? We have this unlimited creative capacity, and our ability to create lies in our thinking capacity. That quantum physics is now proving what spiritual masters have talked about the ages, that what we predominantly mentally rehearse in this faculty of our imagination and charge with our feelings has a vibration to it, right? There's a frequency. That frequency is actually the conversation between you and this invisible field of energy, which then in some fantastical way creates like a magnet and brings things to you that aligns with that predominant thought, and it organizes around that thought and feeling. You know, again, it's the basic explanation, the law of attraction, which is actually a secondary law. The real law is the law of vibration. All right, so everybody's saying, I know, I get that, I believe that, right? I can hear it through the airwaves, because this is what I get all the time. Yeah, yeah. And there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect in the knowledge or the information. Let me say that. There's a disconnect in the information and the actual manifestation, the actual application in their lives. So if they really want to create that life where several times a day they hear themselves saying, if you really want to create the life where several times a day you hear yourself saying, oh my gosh, I love my life.
Yes.
Understand your power. That's a sub tip. That's kind of a pre-tip. That's the kindergarten tip.
Pre-tip.
But it's not
pre-K
it's not
pre-K
a,
tip.
yeah, but it's not kindergarten to really get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the first tip is to really begin to get clear on what is it that you would really love.
Yeah.
Design your dream, design your vision, intentionally use this power of your imagination to create a vision, a scenario that when you are in it and you're moving in it, say, oh, I love this. See it, sensorize it, literally put yourself in it where you're moving in it as if it is just like you can taste it, you can reach out and grab it. You want it so real that your system knows no different. So that's tip number one. Get real. And here's the thing, Lisa, give yourself permission. So few people really give themselves permission to really know what they want. It's breathtaking how people start watering it down. Well, we're in the middle of, we're right now, and I know this is going to be out and we're not going to be in this forever, but we're in the middle of a pandemic and there's financial considerations and people start looking around at what's going on in their world. And without even realizing it, they start letting it water down what they say they really want.
Oh, yeah. And fear starts to kick in. Doubt starts to kick in. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got to, what you do is you water down your desire. Mm-hmm. So now you've got a lukewarm dream. And you're not going to go for a lukewarm dream. Yeah. It just, you don't have the steam necessary to keep you in momentum. Mm-hmm. If you're going for a lukewarm dream. And this is where people get frustrated and get stuck. So let yourself really live into the question, what would I love? And build a burning desire for it. Let yourself have a burning desire. That stare down that fear of being disappointed. That let the desire be bigger than the fear of disappointment. So that's tip number one.
I love it.
Get clear.
Build your burning desire. I like it. I can imagine like little kindling. I'm a big Survivor fan, and sometimes they have to, they always have to have a fire, but they have this fire challenge at the end. So sometimes if there's a tie and you have to like really build this little, it's a little fire, but they've got to build it. And if you build it correctly, it, turns into a really big fire that's sustainable. And so that's what when you said like build your burning desire, you know, your vision of burning desire, I'm like, ooh, I could, that image came.
Yeah. Well, think of it this way. When you think of water at the temperature of 211 degrees, what have you got?
I'm not a science. I don't.
Okay. You just have hot
Water.
water.
Hot water.
It's just really hot water. 1 degree difference.
Then it's boiling, right?
212. It's boiling, but think about it. Yeah, now you've got
gas.
steam that you can harness and light up entire cities. You have a phase change.
Yeah.
Most people are at 211 degrees desire, which is torture. That's torturous because you don't have the necessary steam to really move you. It's turning the flame up to 212 degrees, allowing yourself to really hear what would I really love and see the images. That's what builds the desire, because now you can light up entire cities with your dream. You can light up the world with your dream.
I love it. I'm getting so excited. All right. What's your second tip?
All right. So you're building your desire. Then you got to stare down the part of you that wants to start doubting. Build a bigger believing. Now, the thing that you're actually doing is building a relationship with your dream and with the person living your dream, that person that you've grown into. Here's the thing about your dream. Here's the thing about the life that you love. You think it's to get the job, get the spouse, the partner, get the house, get good health, get whatever it is. Those things are great. Believe me, I've got those things and they're phenomenal. But here's what I want you to know. The real purpose of that desire that's bubbling up inside of you, that's the universe's way of helping you grow and discover more of who you are created to be. It's the universe's catalyst for your transformation, for you to discover and bring more of your brilliance. So right now, who you are is a perfect fit for your current life. You are identified perfectly with your life. You relate. You can do your life in your sleep.
Right.
Because you have that kind of relationship with your life and with the person living your life. The work now, the next step, as you're building a bigger believing, is what you're actually doing is building a relationship with this new life. So the way that you do that is, first of all, you're seeing it. And the more you see it, the more you're wiring it into your system and really building a sense of normalcy. And what you do, what I call zip yourself into the skin of the man or the woman who is living that dream life. And there's a couple of questions. So one of the things that I really help people with is asking high calibrated questions. So there's a couple of questions that you're working with in order to build that identification, build that relationship. So let me say this. We will never outperform the way we see ourselves. You cannot go beyond the way you see yourself. Even if you take steps, you won't be able to sustain those steps. You won't take them in the way that you need to take them. And if your results do change, they won't last because you're not a fit for it. You can't let something into your life for any sustained amount of time that you don't identify with, that you don't see yourself in. So you start seeing yourself in this image, start seeing you as the person who grew into that person. You're zipping yourself into the skin, and you're doing this by asking, if this all worked out, how would I feel? You'd feel fulfilled, grateful, a deep sense of well-being, purposeful, all of those feelings. We have this amazing gift that we've been given by, the very power that animated us, that we have the capacity to generate feelings before our world gives us permission. Most people don't understand this, right? That you can generate at any given moment, any
no matter
emotion
what,
you want, no matter what. And there's power in that, right? The power of that. So, all right, so you're generating, how would I feel? And then you ask, the woman who did this, the man who did this, how did she walk into this room? How does that person have this conversation? How does that person brush their teeth? You're going to be somebody. You're either going to be the person who created your current results, or you're going to be your future self. And so you're continually slipping that on. Now, can I jump right into my third tip?
Yeah, sure.
Because here's what happens. as you are building a relationship, a greater sense of identification with the person who did this before a single thing in your world gives you evidence that you've done this, what you're doing is that you are literally changing your state of being. One of the things that you will rarely hear me say is mindset, because what I'm talking about is way beyond mindset. It's got to be your whole being. Your whole being has to be present in this, and you have to be connected to a power that's more than you, that's moving through you. And so as you're putting on the identification, as you are building a relationship, so again, it goes beyond mindset. It's a relationship. You're building a relationship. You're building an identification. You're literally zipping into that person's life who achieved this. What happens is that you now have access to a whole nother level of intelligence, of innovation, of creativity, and a stream of creative power, a stream of, Napoleon Hill calls it infinite intelligence, that's always guiding us. But we don't have access to it thinking from our current identification, our current relationship. That then leads us to my third step, which is to activate your brilliance. You have brilliance right here at your fingertips. And the way that you activate it is by generating state and then consciously and intentionally working with your brilliance by working with these two questions. One question is, if I really believed my dream was possible, what's the action step I would do? And put a time limit. And do not say in a month. Do not even say in a week. What would I do within the next 24 to 48 hours? If you want to move. You want to move now. You're in this state. You're generating the state. You're seeing it. You're being it. You're taking action from that state of being. If I really believed it, what would I do and how would I do it? And when I mean how would I do it, I'm not saying the particulars, although that's important, but it's more of a state of being. Who am I being as I'm doing this? Because this intelligence, this energy, it does not respond to what we want. It responds to who we're being. And when we're being the person that created our current results, the only thing that we can continue to get are our current results. Or if they change, we're relating to them from the same state. So we're, there's always that doubt whether or not if it's really gonna last, right? All right. So if I really believed, and then asking the question, what can I do where I am with what I have? Realizing that we have so much resource.
Okay, so let's just back up here for a second. So the first question, because I want to make sure everyone gets this. So the first question when you're stepping into your brilliance is, what do I really love? Right? And how do
so there's a series of questions.
Okay, yeah. So let's okay. Because you said it really fast. So okay, what it was like.
So first question is, what would I love?
What would I love?
Second question, if it all worked out, how would I feel?
Okay. If it all worked out, how would I feel?
The man, the woman who did this, how do they take this action? Who are they taking this action? Whatever the action is, brushing your teeth, making a sandwich, you're going to be somebody.
Sure.
Then you're activating your brilliance. And in order to activate your brilliance, if I really believed I could do this, what are actions I would take within the next 24 to 48 hours? And then the second question with this third step, because it's a code, right? But there's a process here. What can I do where I am with what I have?
What can I do with where I am and what I have? Perfect. Very powerful question. Very powerful question.
Because it opens your eyes to the resource that is here now. It's breathtaking how abundantly sourced and resourced we are, but we can't see it. It's here. We just can't see it, thinking from the same identification.
It's like having like a secret code written on a wall, but you just can't read it because it's invisible to you.
It's
there. Lisa. It's still there.
It's there. So think of it this way. 300 years ago, we're in Southern California, right? 300 years ago, let's say we wanted to, go to Denver. Think about how we would have gotten to Denver 300 years ago. What would we have done?
Probably gotten a horse and a wagon.
Or walked. Yeah.
Yeah, gone through like the hills and the
yeah, and it would have taken a
Rocky
really long
Mountains and stuff like
time,
that. Yeah.
right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we would have planned, and it probably would have taken at least a year of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Think of this. Every single step along the way, we would have the capacity to get on an airplane. 300 years ago, they just weren't thinking from that state of awareness. Everything required was right there to build an airplane. We didn't think from that state of awareness to bring it out. So it's all here. Neville Goddard wrote the book, one of the books he wrote was Power of Awareness, where he says creation is finished. It's all here. Everything required is right here. There's not a single thing that has to be added. We just got to line up with it in order for it to be able to reveal itself. So when I hear people saying, I just have to figure this out, I just have to figure this out, you're doing it on your own. It's you. And you're doing it from your current state of awareness, because you're only ever going to be able to figure things out so much. It's more than figure it out. It's let it be revealed. Let it reveal itself. And we do that by coming into this identification and in this state of awareness where it can then be revealed.
Oh, I love that. I was working on something. I am currently working on something, and I had noticed, I was like, oh, I feel stuck. Interesting. Okay. So then I was like, I'm attracting clarity. And so I'm like, I'm attracting solutions. I'm attracting whatever. And then, but so I needed to hear that now, because it's like, let it be revealed. I really like that phrase. Like, that feels really good. Like, let this be revealed, what path I'm supposed to take for this project. Like, I'm sure it will reveal itself really, really.
Yeah.
Really,
And you
really
can just
soon.
feel yourself relax, right?
Yeah.
And the angst go, and then it's like, then you're open. And you're able to hold it lightly then.
Yes.
And so in the moment, you continue to be in a life that you love and not all angst up, if that's a word, because I can't figure this out.
Yeah. Well, I'd even shared it with a friend earlier today, and she's like, well, I don't know anything about that. I said, oh no, you don't need to know anything about it. I just, you might talk to someone next week who you think, oh, you know who you should talk to. I don't know. I'm like, I'll just tell people what I'm looking for, and it'll
That's
show
it.
up. It'll show up eventually.
It does. It shows up in a song, and everybody listening, you've had this experience, but now it's the consistency, right? It's building on a life grounded in this. And your dream will invite you into an even deeper recognition and awareness of this. Because one of the things that people will often say to me is, thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. And it's, this isn't a reminder. It's understanding that whatever your current level right now is around, what I'm speaking of, it's a perfect fit for what you've currently created. Our understanding of, again, it often gets distilled down into the law of attraction. Our current understanding is not enough for our dream, that we have to go deeper in our understanding and our application for our dream, which is the beauty of it. We just keep getting to dig deeper into understanding this. And where we're really going, what's really happening is deepening our sense of communion and companionship with the very power that animated us.
Yeah. And I've always felt that, we have a shared consciousness as a humankind, and we're not yet functional in that capability. We're on the pre-K level right now of figuring out how do we actually tap into that, and how does that work, and how do we access that part of this that we already have. And one of the reasons why I do what I do, whatever it is, whether it's for productive learning or my Get Speaking Gigs Now company, is I'm like, well, I want to listen to the gifts that I have been given. What am I called to do? And if, like, for example, when I help speakers, I'm noticing that my gift is to help them reach more people. And so it's like the ripple effect gets to happen, and that raises the consciousness of more people. Because if I just kept my gift to myself, I'm not really adding to that consciousness. And then if I help someone else and they're helping other people and helping other people and helping other people, like that's my contribution to raising the shared consciousness that we have. That's one way in which I can contribute. And so that's sort of always like in the behind the scenes of whatever I'm doing.
Oh my God, Leisa. I mean, absolutely. It's just the domino ripple effect, right? And here's the other element of that as you're helping speakers in the brilliant way that you do that, which is amazing, that those speakers are growing into even greater versions of themselves.
Yes.
So the very fact of their growth is because their vibration is raising,
Absolutely.
right? That they're becoming, when people talk about, I just need to raise my vibration, I just need to raise my vibration, what are we really talking about? Well, what we're really talking about is becoming more aware. There's a spiritual maturity that's happening. There's a deeper connection that's happening. There's a calibration that's happening for sustained increase in vibration. And so when one person grows in a greater awareness of who they really are and what they're really capable of, and they're rising in that identification, that's impacting everybody, regardless of what it is that you're doing.
Right. And that's why it's like, that's like the foundation, like thing that sort of drives whatever I do. It's the same with productive learning, like where we're, how do you manage all this stuff that's going on in here? What does this mean that when I'm attached to a belief that I think is true and right, and I'm so righteous about it, like, wow, what if I learned how to let go of that? And what would that look like? And what else is, so just even that, it's like, wow, what a different life one can have when we start to realize the system that we've been given, and how do we access it, and then take it with what you're saying is even like on a rocket ship, right, to this brilliant life of freedom and whatever it is that you as a person want.
And the thing, what I love about this is that your dream then becomes a spotlight on what is no longer serving you. That, people often talk about blocks. I don't necessarily talk about blocks. I talk about navigating the gap. Here you are doing your life beautifully. Here's your dream. Then there's this thing in between. That's the gap, right? The gap represents what you need to let go of and who you need to grow into in order to be able to rise to the vibrational level of your dream. So it becomes the catalyst. It becomes the opportunity for you to see, ooh, you know what? That's not a fit anymore. Now, it's not warm and fuzzy like that, right? It's usually, you're clawing it and holding on to it for everything you're worth, because you've got faith in it. It's worked in some way, shape, or form. It's worked. The new, you don't have evidence in it yet, which is why it's so important to have support, in some way, shape, or form, because you've got somebody taking a stand that even if you can't see the evidence yet, I'm here to tell you that it works, and it's so much better on the other side 100%. As you let go and let the new come in. And that's what you do, Leisa, with people, that you're their partner in believing, and you take a stand for them as they're, in that messiness. Here's the thing, our dreams, our desires, your people's desire for wanting to reach more people, you have the desire, but then you got to actually move toward it. And which means you have to disrupt your current life. And your dream is disrupted.
It comes out in us being more visible, and I'll hear like a different, sometimes it's resistance to even getting a photo shoot, like, okay, we need to get your headshot, and that task alone can bring up a lot of resistance and doubt and fear. And so sometimes it's just shepherding through that next layer, exactly what you're talking about. Felicia, where can people get a hold of you, or where would you like them to go to find you?
Yeah, well, of course, my website, FeliciaSearcy.com. And I do, can I share something?
Yes.
All right. So, and I should have the name of this memorized, but
Okay.
I have a copy.
It will be revealed to you.
Yes, or just memorize the thing, right? That, you know, basically how to create the life that you love. So I've created an outline of you know, taking what I talked about. You can highlight it, you can read it, you can download it, you can print it out and really work with it. And so go to www.freegiftfromfelicia.com
Okay.
and grab a hold of that. And then I send out weekly inspiration, and you know, I'm here, whatever way that I can serve you to support you in creating the life that you were meant to live.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Well, I have one more question for you. It doesn't have anything to do with what we talked about so far,
Okay.
but it's called Rock Your Talk. And so I got to ask, what is one of your favorite rock stars or rock bands of all time?
Oh.
Like, who do you want to be listening to when you're on a road trip?
Well, I'm a big jazz fan.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so you know, Joe Sample, Bob James, Grover Washington Jr.,
Oh, okay.
Chris Bodie.
Oh, cool. So we just got
Yeah,
some good tips there.
yeah. Well, and then Carole King.
Okay.
But I mean, I know she's not a rocker, but
That's
yeah, I would
okay.
say Carole King.
She's famous. That's good. I always love hearing a different types of music because, you know, you learn. I'm always learning.
That's
And
it.
I think music is a way that it's something that brings people together, right? All right. Well, thank you for all of your amazing gifts and knowledge today. And I know our listeners are in for a treat when they go to your site and then they get to get that outline on freegiftsfromfelicia.com.
Yeah, free gift from Felicia.
Freegiftfromfelicia.com, and I'll put that in the notes as well. And
Excellent.
meanwhile, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can continue to get more tips from other experts. And if you haven't already done this today, remember to be kind to yourself and to somebody else. All right, we'll see you next time.